Home Affairs Minister Dr. Motsoaledi has slammed what he calls a growing trend for civil society to undermine decisions taken by government by using the courts. Motsoaledi's comments come as the Helen Suzman Foundation is challenging in court his decision not to extend exemptions granted to Zimbabweans living in South Africa. Dr. Motsoaledi joins me now. Very good morning to you, Dr. Motsoaledi. Thank you so much for your time. The Helen Suzman Foundation is arguing that about 178,000 ZEP holders will find themselves undocumented, as will thousands of children who have been born in South Africa to ZEP holders. What's your response?
Well, this is their take when they want to run propaganda and throw in emotions. When we took this decision, we actually issued directives for people who want clarity. We have written 178,000 letters via email to the Zimbabweans who hold these permits, because we have got their addresses, because we have got their files. We send them SMSs. We even got advertorials from newspapers. We even put it in our website for them to get clarity. The story that 178,000 people will be thrown away, kids and all that, it is propaganda, because we are clearly saying they must apply for alternative permits, which other nationals are applying for, by the way. There are many people who are in South Africa who have applied for alternative permits in terms of the Immigration Act. This was a special one, very special and temporary. For instance, on study visas, in the last financial year, academic year rather, we have issued 14,778 study visas in South Africa for the whole world. And a quarter of them, 25%, are Zimbabweans. So these stories are real propaganda. They don't want us to move. They don't want us to control and regularize our immigration laws. They just want it to be free for all.
The foundation says the decision was taken without fair process and for fair political expediency. I mean, you've mentioned the issuing of directives and the various platforms of communication. Do you think perhaps that the approach could have been any different to ensure the level of fairness that the Helen Suzman Foundation would have expected?
Why Helen Suzman Foundation must expect that? We're not doing it for them. We are doing it for the people who are affected. We've met their representatives. We have even met the Zimbabwean embassy. We have met other NGOs who cares about Zimbabweans. We've explained our things. When you say fair administrative action is in terms of PAJA, it cannot be Helen Suzman Foundation who rules that we never follow those laws. It can't be. And for that reason, we don't understand why they are making such statements.
And you saying that this all comes as a result of a growing trend by civil society to undermine government decisions. Talk to us about that.
I said some NGOs. There are quite a number of NGOs. Civil society is good for a democracy, and we do support civil society. And there are many organs of civil society who are doing well. But I'm talking about some NGOs who have made it their point to oppose everything that is being done by government for nefarious reasons. For instance, this whole hullabaloo about Zimbabwean nationals is not because the people who are taking us to courts are feeling pity for them. They are being used as modern-day slaves. I'm sure you are aware. That's an article in one of the dailies where one of the Zimbabweans said, no, we are preferred for jobs because we don't demand minimum wage. We don't demand higher wages. We don't get unionized. We don't demand a lot of things from our employers. Now, that is modern-day slavery, which we are fighting. I'm sure you are aware. We have issued statements about the Chinese factory. I'm just giving an example, which hired illegal immigrants, 51 of them from Zimbabwe, from Malawi, and 4 in that group from China itself, who were sleeping, working in the same factory, sleeping there, eating there. Now, that is slavery. When you go to disrupt that type of thing, they say you are xenophobic, you are traveling illegal immigrants, when the person who said is protecting them is actually holding them as slaves. So we are regularizing migration because we want to follow modern trends and not slavery.
So from the 1st of January 2023, hundreds of thousands of Zimbabweans and their children will no longer be able to live, work, or even come to school legally in South Africa. Perhaps let's go back a little bit and talk about the rationale behind the decision. I mean, you mentioned just the one part about modern-day slavery, but there are other components to consider.
Yes, there are others, but for the statement we have just uttered, where do you take it from? What proof can you put on the table that that's going to be so?
What is the reality?
The statement about hundreds of children not going to school, what are you basing it on, and what proof can anybody put on the table?
If,
Maybe
Minister,
not only you.
If yes, hundreds of thousands of parents, Zimbabweans, who will need to leave South Africa, surely I'm assuming that they will need to leave with their children. They can't leave their children behind. So that's what I'm basing it on, as I make mention of a huge chunk of Zimbabweans who will no longer be allowed to be in South Africa come that cutoff period.
I'm actually asking a similar question.
Yes.
What proof do we have that there will be hundreds and thousands of Zimbabweans who will have to leave South Africa? Because nobody said so. All we said is they must regularize their stay via the immigration laws of the country, no longer through something that is special and that is temporary, and it has been temporary now for more than 12 years. That's all we are saying. Now, none of us, even me sitting here, know the number of people who won't be successful. It is just a guesswork from other people, because we are still going to work up these things as they apply, as they write to us, each one of them as an individual, telling us their conditions, and we look into that. So what I'm asking is, who has got the number of the people who are measured in hundreds and thousands? I've seen even in a statement for a webinar that is taking place tomorrow, saying everybody is going to be affected, doctors, teachers, truck drivers, etc. Do they have figures of such people who will be affected, who are counted in hundreds of thousands?
But you must have some form of ratio, Minister, on how you're hoping or perhaps working around modernizing the regulations around foreign nationals. You surely must have some form of ratio that would equate to some numbers.
No, I don't understand what you mean by ratio. All we are saying is that South Africa has got immigration laws, and it has got numerous permits, for your information, which don't exist even in other countries. The permits we have got: start visa, spousal visa, relative visa, corporate visa, work visa, all visitors visa, all sorts of visas and permits that allow people to be in South Africa, which don't exist in other countries. In terms of the immigration laws, all we are saying is, can we regularize the stay of people in terms of those immigration laws, as we do with any other nationality? And of course, it is true, even with other nationalities, that when they apply for certain permits in South Africa, if they don't get successful, of course, they are not successful. But in this case, we are saying, who has got the proof that hundreds and thousands of people won't be successful? I've just given you an example here, that out of the 14,278 study permits for people to study in South Africa's institutions, 25%, for the whole world, by the way, 25% are Zimbabweans. So who has got the right to make a conclusion that won't be successful? That's the question I'm asking.
Okay, so the foundation also argues that Zimbabweans will be put to a very desperate choice: to remain in South Africa as undocumented migrants with all the vulnerability that attaches to such a status, or return to Zimbabwe, a country that's unchanged, and all of those reasons. What's your take around that, the possibilities of Zimbabweans remaining in South Africa undocumented?
Let's talk about other nationalities. The Immigration Act in South Africa is for all nationalities in the whole world, and they are governed by the same laws in the whole world. The issue of special dispensation for Zimbabwe, which was done in 2009, was given to Zimbabweans Basotho, and Angolans. Angolans were 1,600 who were given a special permit. Since that time, it has been announced that they can go back home. There's been no problem. And many of them prefer to stay in South Africa and regularize their stay with other immigration, following the normal immigration law. There was no noise about it. So why is there noise this time around?
Yeah. Very well. Dr. Motsoaledi, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there for now. And thanking you for your time and availing yourself. Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, speaking to the court action that is being challenged here by the Helen Suzman Foundation when it comes to the ZEP.